Well, good day, mate. That's right. So we have another episode of Kart Talk. This time representing from down under, we have an all Aussie takeover. Also, we decided to throw in Matt Aldridge for all on all all the sake of bringing everyone from down under. So excited to have you guys all on. As for those viewers at home, this has actually been a bucket list item for myself. I've been wanting to get an all Aussie podcast. I was waiting for like another Sydney tour to come in, but I said, you know what, we got to get these guys going on. And then Shadow Legend actually won one of our member multiplayer Monday contests, and so wanted to have a he's I think it's been 3 or 4 months where he hasn't been able to redeem his prize of joining Kart Talk. So I said, let's go ahead and carve this out. So full disclosure, it's like 5 a.m. my time, but then we have 4 or 5 time zones represented all across Australia and New Zealand. So let's get into some of the introductions. One introduction that may not be needed. We'll just kick it off with Matt Aldridge. Good evening to you, Matt. How are you doing, man?
What's up, Studfit? Thanks for having me on. So I'm no stranger to your channel, so thanks. I really appreciate your support and just inviting me on. And me and my Aussie brothers here, we have a little bit of a rivalry. I don't know if you know, between New Zealand and Australia, so I can see some nods there. I make Mario Kart Tour videos. I play this game, and we have a lot of fun together. So thanks for having me on. Great to be on again.
Yeah, and Matt also has some good merch as well. But follow Matt Aldridge on YouTube. He has an awesome channel talking a lot about strategy, some ticket time to help you best use tickets, which I always obviously appreciate. Little twist on some strategies. So it's if you like what my channel does, I think you will also enjoy Matt Aldridge and his channel. Somebody who's not new to our channel, but it's been a while. I'm glad you're still alive. Aussie Card, how are you doing, man? It's been a while.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on, Stud. Yeah, it's been a very tough time trying to organise these schedules, but definitely could have missed the all Aussie or all down under episode that we've got happening. So I think it was almost 2 years. I tried to work out when my last car tour was. It might have been Tabor might have still been on at that stage. So we're going back a while now. But yeah, obviously, thanks very much for having me, and glad to be here for the first of maybe future. Maybe the views will go through the roof and this might become a regular series.
Could easily happen. Mentioned already Shadow Legend. I'll let you introduce yourself, and also if you can, tell the community how you got started in Mario Kart Tour. What are some of the things that you enjoy most about the game? Usually we have people tell people where you're from, but it's obviously that you're from Australia. But if you want to add anything about your involvement in the game and how Australia fits into that would be great too. But tell us a little about yourself, Shadow Legend.
Yeah, sure. So I'm from a place called Brisbane in Australia. So it's a little bit up north from some of these guys that are on the channel today. But basically I started playing it around the Halloween tour back in 2019. So first Halloween tour, sort of just got into it because a few mates were playing it. They just downloaded the game on the mobile and they said to me, "Oh, do you want to give this one a go?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Didn't really think anything of it. Like I played the Mario Kart on the Wii and all that like back in the day. Hadn't played for a few years, and then I was like, "Oh, why not give it a go?" So yeah, I decided to start. Picked it up around that time. Played till about, I think it was a jungle tour. So it was like around May 2020. So I played through that COVID period. But then a few lifestyle changes of mine happened and became quite time poor. So I actually had to drop the game and leave it completely. But I knew that I'd come back to it eventually. Yeah, if it was going to be still alive and still running. And I came back in the space tour last year. So what was the year before now? So what was that, November 2021? So yeah, it's been since I've been playing the game. I was like a GPO player back in the first sort of like those first 6 months when I picked up the game. But since coming back in the space, so I really enjoyed some of the content and just the way to catch up. I've sort of, I started buying some of the packs, and now I consider myself like a whale, if you were to, so to speak. So yeah, just open disclosure about that.
I say, does a whale have a different term, like different mindset being in Australia? I don't know if you guys have a lot of whales, like actual whales?
We do.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. I'm sure. I mean, the sea life is I'm sure very well integrated into to a lot of what you guys do. A lot of beaches, obviously, being a giant island. I could imagine a lot of terminology for how much you spend in the game with the sea life. There you go. Well, thank you, Child Legends. It's an absolute honor to be here, and congratulations on winning your prize there. We are just now kicking off. We've just kicked off Member Multiplayer Monday for January. So if you'd like to be on Kart Talk, definitely check that out. We just kicked it off last week, but we have 5 weeks in January. You only have to really show up for 2. So that's fun. Good. The other, we actually have 3 YouTubers on this episode, Matt, Aldridge, and myself being 2. But I have to introduce Swiftjar, who's actually much bigger than even my channel in the Mario Kart world. Now, Mario Kart Tour is part of this Mario Kart entire portfolio of different games, but Swiftjar actually surpasses a lot of what just Mario Kart Tour involves, but he also plays Tour. So Swiftjar, good afternoon, good evening to you, sir. If you don't mind, tell the viewers a little bit about your channel, which you can find just at Swiftjar, just one word, just kind of like StudFit, but Swiftjar. Check out his channel. It's a very cool channel, just about all things Mario Kart. But tell us a little bit about your channel, how you got your channel started, and then move into Mario Kart Tour, how you got started in that game, and then kind of what's the involvement between your channel and playing Mario Kart Tour.
Yeah, so I guess first of all, thanks for having me on here, and it's great to meet everyone on this channel. I can admit this is the first ever podcast I've ever been on, so nerves are like through the roof, but as you get talking, they slowly go away. So firstly, hopefully you can understand all us Australians. We can sound a bit different. But yeah, I guess I started my channel on YouTube in particular for a bit of work purpose. I do a lot of marketing and advertising for my day job, and I wanted to practice a little bit of video editing on the side. So I kind of said to myself, how can I potentially make content with no one knowing who's actually making it? So I used Swiftjar, which was an Among Us username by default.
Okay.
And I created a channel under that username and started uploading videos. And it started off with just Mario Party at the time. And it seemed that people somewhat enjoyed my content. I don't know how. I still don't know how. But yeah, I guess I was always kind of inspired by the Mario Kart Tour community, in particular yourself, Sammy D, Shy Guy Kart, were the kind of people I was watching in the Mario Kart world, which is all Tour, ironically, and that got me into playing Tour and with a few friends. So I guess once the Mario Party hype kind of wound down a bit and I saw the booster scores pass pick up with a bit of hype, I kind of went, I want to start talking about that, but then I also want to start talking about Tour because that kind of was what inspired the content creation to begin with. So it's kind of gone full circle, and now I'm here with you lovely people. So yeah, I guess it's good.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, glad to have you, man. I don't know if there's anything else you want to mention about how you play the game. Are you a day one player, or like, do you enjoy, up ranking, or do you just kind of focus on ranked, or kind of what's your play style?
Yeah, so I picked up the game day one and I absolutely hated it. It was around that COVID period where I picked it back up again because a few of my friends said, "Hey, you should give this game a go." I'm like, "Mate, I know Mario Kart. So I decided to pick it back up, and I guess it kind of became a bit of a friendly competition who got the better scores. So I guess that's what got me back into it. But to be completely honest with you all, I'm trash. I mostly just play for the fun, a bit of the nostalgia elements as well, and sort of comparing the stuff that's coming in to the old stuff, which is what I really enjoy to do. So that's kind of like how I play. It's mostly just play through the tour, see the hype, see if there's a good character I want to buy, and sort of play based on what I find nostalgic. So that's kind of my play style. It's mostly not too competitive, but I do watch competitive people. So I know a few things, but I just can't implement them. So
you're probably downplaying your skills, but it's obviously an honor to have you on Swiftjar, and we've had some conversations throughout the last couple of months, and it's been good to get to know you. Excited to hear a lot more about your play style and your involvement as we get through the episode. Want to introduce Jezza. Good evening, Jezza. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm not bad.
So tell us a little bit about how you got started in the game, what you enjoy the most about the game, and you, just like Aussie Karts, are also there in Sydney. So glad to have at least 2 of the 7 people here, 6 other than me, representing the larger city there.
I started playing the game when it first released. I was very into it because I had like nothing else to do at that point. I stopped playing towards the end of 2019, and I didn't play it all through 2020, and then picked it back up again during the Frost Tour of 2021, and just kept playing since. And my
That's a big
play
gap.
style, yeah, a big gap. A big play style of mine is usually just invest wisely. Like I invest in like track items that cover multiple tracks instead of, for like example, Cheep Cheep Island, like investing in the yellow off-roader because it has all 4 instead of investing in multiple karts. Yeah, so now really all I do is just play the ranked tracks, and all the tracks get the ACP. And yeah, I don't really have to grind for ranked except for this week, because this week is dreadful. So yeah, but that's pretty much it.
Well, do you already have the question mark block? Is it Dire Straits?
I have him at level 8, triple uncapped.
All right, so you don't need need him. It's just
I need the
6,000.
coins. I need the coins.
Thankfully,
I
they
am
boosted the
broke.
coins here this
Yeah.
tour, so very cool. We also have another younger player, MiFlame. Good evening to you. How are you doing, MiFlame?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, so I'm MiFlame. I'm from Perth, Australia, so on the other side of the country. I'm actually an administrator on the Reddit Discord server, so shout out to all the Reddit people.
Nice.
I started day 1, so similar to Swiftjar, and I hated the game. Everything was true. The game wasn't really as good back then, so I played 1 tour, stopped in the Tokyo tour. And then November 2020, there was some house renovations going on, and I couldn't access my computer. I was really bored. I was like in the lounge room, like, what can I play? And I saw that Captain Toad was added to the game. Oh, okay, it's in the Sunset Tour. Okay, I want to re-download the game. And I got Captain Toad off a freebie. And I thought, oh, this game's pretty cool. This game's pretty nice. And yeah, and then the rest is history. So I'm a gold pass only player. I sometimes buy packs of survey money, so like the commemorative cards. And yeah, so I really enjoy just that community aspect in the Discord, and talking to everyone, going through strategy, going through people's hype for the game. At the moment I'm saving up for a big ACR push, so fingers crossed that goes well. So I've saved up quite a lot. See how it goes. But yeah, no, just really happy to finally be on here with all the rest of the Aussies.
That's awesome. That's the pro response, man. You nailed it. And honestly, excited to hear how your top 100 goes. And I always being on Discord through my channel, and then obviously have a lot of connections through ER and other things. I don't get to talk to all the Reddit people all the time, so I'm trying to slowly integrate different sides of the community that I'm not in all the time. So I appreciate it. Glad to have you on. And after finding out a lot more about you, you've been a fan of the show, and so I'm glad to finally have you on. Well, good. So again, this was I was kind of hoping one day the Sydney tour will come back and we'll have the Sydney tour and we can kind of do this, and it never really happened again. So I wanted to find out a little bit more about Australia. So I thought about a good icebreaker that's kind of not necessarily Mario Kart Tour related before we jump into a lot of questions. We got a lot of good questions. We got questions about the New Year's tour that we have, the space tour that we have coming up, a lot of Mii related questions. So we will get to this Mario Kart Tour, but I thought I'd just kick off an icebreaker about what is the most interesting fact most people don't know about Australia or New Zealand. And I know I obviously had done some research about some stereotypes about Australians. So we'll see if you guys beat me to the punch on some of what people may or may not know about Australia. And it's just kind of, I think, in when it comes to Mario Kart Tour, what's unique about the game, supposedly, is that it does go around to other cities around the world. And so this is a really cool chance for us to learn a little bit about Australia, some of the culture, some of the things that some people may not know. So we'll kick it off in the same fashion that we introduced everyone. So we'll start with you, Matt Aldridge. What's one thing that people do not know or may not know that's a fun fact about New Zealand?
All right. So I'm hoping I'm the only one who's got a New Zealand fact, but feel free to surprise me. But no, I did actually have to research this a little bit on Google because there's some crazy stuff in New Zealand's history. But New Zealand is it's kind of like a giant nature reserve, like a natural reserve, if that makes sense. 30% of the country is actually a nature reserve, and that comes from it's actually the youngest country to be inhabited by humans, which is pretty crazy. And
Wow.
we do things big here. Of course, we love food, but in particular, we had this bird. I don't know if you've heard of them, called the moa. And the moa are extinct now, but they were the biggest birds on the planet. Think dinosaur kind of sized birds, if that makes sense, like a giant kind of emu ostrich type thing, but even bigger. And there are all sorts of types of emu, and their only predator, other than humans who actually killed them off, was a bird called the Haast eagle. The Haast eagle was the biggest. It's also extinct, but it was the biggest bird on the planet as well at that time. Massive bird, huge wingspan. The moa were 230 kilos and 3.6 meters tall, and the Haast eagle weighed 15 kilos with a 2.5 meter wingspan and an attack speed of 80 kilometers per hour. So
Wow.
sorry for all the metric numbers for those
Jeez.
from other
I was gonna say, I don't
platforms.
know any of those dimensions you just mentioned.
But basically, like, insane. And that's what our country's all about, very
That's pretty
much
cool.
caring for nature and
just
yeah.
killing them all off. I get it. No,
yeah,
it makes a lot
and
of sense.
eating chicken. Yeah.
Good. That's awesome, man. No, I mean, I know you guys are known for, your lamb and other things, but no, that's really cool. I had no idea that all that existed. I mean, it sounds like you guys were the youngest country, so you basically stepped onto a prehistoric island and then all of a sudden just killed everything off. So
Yeah.
go humans. We like it. No, it's
Fair
cool.
enough.
Aussie Kart, what's the most interesting fact that most people don't know about Australia?
Frantically trying to Google something below my camera right now to make something interesting. So, fun fact, when a new baby is born, they are given a baby-roo. So, like
Yeah.
a little kangaroo, like
A human
every
baby is
born
given
child in Australia is given a baby kangaroo.
a stuffed animal, I assume.
No, like a real roo.
You give a baby a live animal.
No, so the baby doesn't, like, the family gets it for the baby. So basically, no, like this is the type of stuff that the Americans listening would be like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. That doesn't occur. So no,
Okay.
no. So 90% of Australians live on the coast. There we go. I've got a
There
good
we
one.
go.
That's a good fun fact.
That's a good one.
That's a good fun fact.
That's
good.
actually true.
But you're also in islands. That makes a lot of sense too.
Sure, but there's a lot of it's a big parcel
It's-
of land, and
It's
90%.
basically a continent. Yeah, it's huge.
Yes, it is a
Yeah.
country and a continent. Google also tells me this. So it was like, probably didn't know enough about our country. Like Matt Aldridge has gone real in depth with his
Set
Wikipedia
the bar
search.
really high, and then you just started
Just
way
got
under it. Just like
So
No, you
anyway,
start-
that's my fun fact. So for the boys I haven't covered someone else's. So by the time we get down to, like, if Shadow Legends lasts, we've probably gone over the best facts. We'll see what comes out.
I like it. If this was a competition, I'd say Matt's still winning. No offense. No, I like it. Shadow Legend. You just put your name in the hat there. So what's the most interesting fact most people don't know about Australia?
Sure. So I guess sort of coming off what Aussie Kart said, something similar about coasts is that we've got so many beaches here that if you saw one new beach every day, it would take you 27 years to see them all.
Wow, every day a new
Yeah,
beach.
if you saw a new
Wow.
beach every day, 27 years. Yep.
Can't get mad at that, man. I don't know why I don't
No.
live in Australia. That sounds like
So
awesome.
is there more karts in Mario Kart Tour or
I was
beaches
gonna
in
say.
Australia? What do we-
Nice.
what do we think
Yeah,
the
beaches
answer
in
Ooh.
Australia is more than karts in the
is? So
game.
far.
So far.
Probably only
So-
takes about 2 more months to catch up there, but
Yeah.
I like it.
few more speeders.
I was gonna say that's exactly what we need. Exactly. Swiftjar, what's the most interesting fact most people don't know about Australia?
I think most people might probably know this, but we celebrate Christmas in the summer. I did have a few comments on a lot of my videos saying, Australians, don't you celebrate it in the winter as well? It's like, nope, we celebrate in the summer. And to top it all off, we celebrate it with winter decorations and songs about winter. So yeah, we haven't quite, kind of gotten away from the winter stuff yet, but I'm sure it's in the works, Australian government.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you guys right now are in the dead heat of summer, and as you can see from Swiftjar's background, got a tree back there. So it is Christmas in the summer, which is just odd to me. But I mean, again, those are two of my favorite things. Christmas and barbecues and pools and enjoying summer. So I don't know why everyone else is doing it wrong, but I do think it is interesting because we do most of the game and most of maybe even on television and stuff, people are kind of all centered around, hey, everyone's celebrating, winter, or everyone's doing this, but you guys obviously, are watching and being like, well, not us. But I don't know if that ever, like in the game when we have like a winter tour, obviously always in this December, January, and a summer tour, does it like bother you guys at all, or does it does it seem weird, or is that all you're just used to at this point?
I'm kind of used to it from Animal Crossing. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'm kind of used to it from like the Animal Crossing games back when I was growing up, but it's something kind of cool about sort of playing in the opposite hemisphere for me personally. Kind of like you almost want what you can't have, but occasionally it's cool if you do get to sort of experience it in real time, like Animal Crossing with New Horizons. But yeah.
Cool.
I was going to say, Mario Kart's done it before. Like when we got the Frost Tour last year, that was in August for us, which was the winter. So it was like a winter tour for winter for us. And I mean, school kids don't complain because they get their summer break over Christmas. So they're off like 2 months over Christmas. So they're off like November to February. So they're having the time of their life. So yeah, it's nice around the holidays when getting all these good tours and all these games are coming out and all the kids can have fun, enjoy it. I definitely love that as a kid.
Yeah. Now here's the thing is that here in the United States, I mean, I assume it gets really cold during the winter for you guys too, but it's pretty, I mean, if we didn't have Christmas, it'd be pretty brutal. I mean, January and a little bit of February is pretty brutal for us. There's like nothing going on. It's basically boring and we're all stuck in our house, but we have like, Christmas in December to break things up a little bit. So do you guys have like a little mini holiday just to kind of break things up, or school kids, do they actually get like a break there in some of like what we call our summer?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, winter's pretty rough, especially if you're in New Zealand, which is even quite a bit further south than Australia. Our winters can be just cold, wet, horrible for months on end. And that's just the reality of living this close to the Antarctic. But I think it's quite common for people to take holidays mid-year, maybe go overseas. It's quite a big part of, I don't know about Australia, but definitely New Zealand. We love to travel overseas in the winter, go to hotter countries and, go to the islands or go to Australia. If that was okay. Well, parts of Australia are very warm, parts of Australia are not so warm. So yeah, but I don't know what everyone else would say.
Yeah, that's the same with us because like it's winter. A lot of people go over to America during those times because it's summer there. So a lot of people just want to be in the heat, so they get away during winter.
Yeah, it's all relative. For us, our cold winter day is like 13 Celsius, which is not that cold in Fahrenheit. So for you guys, in winter day, that'd be, for us, we would freeze. It'd be like negative something. I've never seen snow. I don't know about anyone else here, but
never seen snow.
Never seen snow. If you ask most Australians,
I've never seen snow either.
Never seen snow.
Wow.
Okay.
It's a little different over here.
I was gonna say Matt, you're sounding more and more different than Australia. Maybe we shouldn't have had you enjoying this. No, I'm just joking with you. No, cool. No, appreciate that. That's really cool to hear about. And I just assume, hey, winter you got snow, but I guess it doesn't really even matter. I mean, for you guys, seasons, it sounds like doesn't even matter then. You got, hey, it's hot all the time.
Yeah.
I like it. Jezza, what's the most interesting fact most people don't know about Australia?
The Great Barrier Reef is the largest ecosystem. I don't know much facts about Australia.
So do you hang out? I mean, how often do you go to the Barrier Reef?
I've actually never been.
What?
Yeah. I've been to Queensland. I've been to Queensland so many times. I've just never actually been to the Great Barrier Reef.
Okay. All right.
I've been to
well,
Wet and Wild, if that counts, in SeaWorld.
Same.
All right.
I count it. I count it.
All right. Well, we'll count it, I guess. No, we have a lot of SeaWorlds here, but nothing compares to the Great Barrier Reef. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah.
It's a real fun fact. Largest ecosystem. Love it. MiFlame, what about you, man?
I'll give you a fact about my state, Western Australia, history fact. So we actually declared war on our national animal once, the emu.
Yes.
We had the Great Emu War of 1932.
Nice.
So the government actually declared war and put a military operation to cull emus because they were terrorizing crops of farmers in the outback. And surprisingly, actually, it's officially marked as a loss for the Australian Army. So we actually lost against the emus. And the emus, like they describe them as using guerrilla tactics. Like the emu commander used guerrilla tactics, which is a real quote. And one army guy said, if we had a military division with the bullet carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. They can face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks, that's an actual thing that was said by the Australian government. So yeah, we've got a pretty funny past. Yeah, don't mess with any emus. If we get an emu alternate character in Mario Kart, it'd be top 5 in the game. Be careful.
Wow. Wow, that's insane. So like what ended up happening? So they I'm sure they took out some of the emus, but there was still a large population of emus still destroying crops, or what happened?
So in one instance, they deployed like 1,000 troops. There was about 500 emus and they killed only 12. Like the emus just scattered, they soaked up bullets. They're so fast that they just outmaneuvered all the guns, and the army got overwhelmed and had to retreat and withdraw. And the farmers had to ask, can you come back? You know, they're still here.
Oh
and they came back and then they failed again. And then it became a big embarrassment. So yeah, that's a pretty fun fact about my state.
All right. Well, based on hearing from Matt Aldridge, they might be extinct here in a couple years. Sounds like based on some of your guerrilla tactics. Well, cool.
Just eat them.
Just eat them. Yeah, there you go. Well, cool guys. Well, that was a fun conversation about Australia. I learned a lot. There was a couple other stereotypes I was researching, and you guys can let me know if these are real, like these are actual real stereotypes or not. And you guys can do a thumbs up or thumbs down. So you guys eat Vegemite for breakfast, lunch, and tea. Is that true? Thumb up if that's thumbs down. Who does anyone like Vegemite? Does anyone actually like have it in their cupboard?
I can eat it, but like I think a lot of people can eat it. You just can't eat too much of it. Like it's like you can only put like a little bit on your toast, but if you put too much on your toast, you'll just hate it forever.
Bit of butter,
Yeah.
Marmite,
Yeah.
cheese.
We've got a thing called Vegemite scrolls though. So it's like a pastry, like a
Yes.
bread, and it's toasted with Vegemite and with a bit of cheese, and that is so nice. So I don't like
they're
Vegemite
good.
on my toast, but ask most Aussies, we love Vegemite scrolls.
Yes.
That sounds pretty good. So just like a light little amount that's already kind of like pre-applied in a nice amount. Good. Another one is that you guys all own kangaroos, or own at least one kangaroo. Does anyone own one kangaroo? Aussie card?
No, but I've eaten kangaroo before.
You've
we've
bitten,
eaten
you bit
kangaroo.
one?
No, I've eaten.
You've eaten a kangaroo. Tell us, is that at a restaurant or did you guys just kind of free range it?
My school, 1 year makes us go out into like the middle of nowhere and just like do boarding school, and we do like outdoor stuff. And at one point they gave us kangaroo meat and just like, oh, just cook it and eat it. And we're like, okay, it's pretty good.
Tastes like chicken? I gotta know.
More
It's
like
so
beef,
kangaroo
in
meat,
my opinion.
Okay.
yeah, it's better tasting beef. It's super nice. There's like 45 million kangaroos, so we don't feel bad about eating them. You can just go to the supermarket, just buy some kangaroo, and it tastes pretty nice. So
Yeah.
kangaroo Yoshi's got to be careful. It tastes pretty good.
I like this. Anyone else own a kangaroo? Anyone else? I mean, is it something that you guys do? You see them all around, or to debunk this myth? If this is
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot around. I live pretty close underneath like the foothills, so I do occasionally see them just hopping down the street, and I mean that literally. I have seen them outside my house just casually hop, and I'm like, cool, how you going?
I like it.
Yeah, I'm in the city, so I don't see them much.
My guess is it's probably kind of like deer here where I live, where like we have deer come across. We actually have to like, make sure plants are sprayed with something that will repel them because they will eat your plants. I assume it's kind of like that where they're existing, but not really like hanging out with you.
Yeah, they're like
but
Australian
I do know that they're very
deers.
dangerous, right? You gotta be careful.
Yeah, they can throw a punch.
They can throw a punch.
Okay.
Another stereotype is you guys have convicts running around everywhere. Is like, I guess between the British convicts that were condemned to Australia, that you guys have this like criminal heritage or something like that. I'm assuming you guys can pretty quickly debunk that, but that's apparently a stereotype.
No, hope not.
No, we don't. Australia is one of the most like multicultural and diverse countries in the whole world, in the Western world. We've got so many countries that have so many people that are living here. We've got Asian communities, we've got, British communities, European, American, Canadian. There's so many people living in Australia. We were founded with a lot of, convicts when they, migrated over here when they first started, but it's just become a completely different thing. And, Australia is such like a beautiful country to live in. There's so many, great people. So I wouldn't say too many convicts on that one.
Okay. Another one is that you guys are most meals are either shrimp on the bobby and also Foster's beer. Is that how common are those food items on the menu?
Common. I don't eat shrimp, but they're common.
Yeah.
So
Can't say
fact
I've
on
ever
that
cooked
state,
it.
you can't even find Foster's. You can't buy Foster's in Australia. That's actually the
what?
That's actually So
Yeah.
Foster's
Yeah,
isn't
no.
something that you drink in Australia. So
Yeah.
it's like I think like in UK they might drink it, but you cannot. Well, someone might tell me otherwise. I've not seen a stack of Fosters in a dinner.
Yeah, same. It's a myth.
I've honestly never heard it even exist before, so that says a lot.
Okay. All right. I was doing some research on some words that might be common. One, I didn't even know how to pronounce it. COOEE, like a koi sounds. That's my guess. Is that it's a high pitched call to attract attention, or simply just to see how good the echo is? Is this true?
Oh,
You don't
Is
say
it
that.
is it cooey or something?
Cooey,
Yeah.
maybe.
Cooey. Yeah, like you said it really loud.
You don't do that in America?
No,
Like,
no, we don't.
cooey.
No, we don't have meeting calls anymore. Not anymore.
I got nervous. I got nervous when you started spelling COO. I said we renamed some cheese over that. You don't think you can
Another one. I was gonna say, by the way, while we talk about cheese, there was a question about your Packers, man. Yeah, Jeeves said he wants to get your thoughts on not winning fantasy football while the Packers are becoming a train wreck, is what he says. But I do think that the Packers are doing much better than the Bears. But I think he wants to poke fun at the fact that you did not win this year, fantasy football.
You need to start muting Jeeves. You don't need that. Look, I won the inaugural season, so that's pretty good effort. And we're one game out of the playoffs, so I think he needs to hold back his comments a little bit. I'm glad he jumped in and had a poke. But no, we'll wait till after we play Detroit. We'll see how he goes for those NFL fans that are listening.
Yeah. So yes, congratulations to our very first winner, our inaugural winner of the fantasy football championship. Now you can't see Scar is our new winner. He just beat Jeeves in the championship. Very unique week, obviously with a very highlighted injury. But anyway, congratulations on that. Had to get that question out of the way because Jeeves wanted it to be like a focal point of the episode. Wasn't going to do it. So another term that I heard, bogan or bogan or something like that. Bogan. Tell us what that term means to you.
So a bogan is essentially it's a bunch of kids who are a bit, rough. They've dropped out of school. They're, kind of rough and ready. They're going around, night. They're in, there's a couple of guys and they're a bit dodgy and you want to dodge them. So very stereotypical, like Australian people.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to describe it. You know one when you know one.
We also call them eshays.
What is it?
Eshays.
Eshay? Okay.
Yeah.
Eshay is a very Australian version. Bogan's quite a New Zealand thing too. They
Ooh,
typically live in certain suburbs of the city, and don't want to offend anyone, but maybe wear a Metallica t-shirt, drive maybe like got a certain car, boy
In their
racer
thongs.
kind of thing. yeah, that kind of thing.
Okay. Well, compared to the way you were describing New Zealand, it sounds like they at least take a shower though. Like, like they're not living on like a preserve in granola or anything like that, but maybe a little odd. I got you there. Okay. Another one is Chuck. I guess it's pretend to be sick or take a day off. It's a normal.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's like
Chuck
sort of
is
like another
sicky?
word for like another word for like throwing. Like you can chuck the ball or you can like throw a sickie. So like you can chuck a sickie. So it's
Chuck
sort of
a
like another
sickie.
word for throwing.
Yeah.
So what a sickie is when you don't feel like going to work and you're like, I'm going to take a sick day off. So I'm going to just take a sickie.
Yeah.
And you
or
ring in
school.
work and say, look, guys, I can't come in. I'm feeling really sick. And then you take, you're off to the beach. You're off in the back. You're off grinding ranked. That's what a sickie is.
It's all fun and games until you see someone who you work with or you go to school and they ask you, why are you here?
Yeah. Hey, I thought you were chucking a sickie. And then there they are opening. And for you guys, the reset is happening around lunchtime or
Afternoon
late
usually
afternoon.
for a lot of us.
So I could see you guys chucking a lot of sickies. I like it. Another one is budgie smugglers.
Oh,
Is that a thing?
Don't bring it
they're
up.
like little
They are a thing.
they're like little underwears that you use. They're like swimming underwears. Budgie smugglers.
It's a
sort of.
speedo. Do you call it
Yeah,
speedo?
Speedo?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
budgie smuggler is a speedo. Okay.
I was told Shadow was coming in the Budgie Smugglers tonight, but he's saying
Oh,
You heard wrong, buddy.
he,
alrighty.
now honestly, Shadow might be the one
Don't
person
stand up,
probably that can
Aussie.
pull it off. He's in the fitness industry. He's probably
Good ring.
he
Good
probably
ring.
can pull it off. He probably can pull
You
it off.
might pull
We'll
it off,
see.
but it might get age restricted on YouTube, so maybe not tonight.
Future
Earl.
Kart Talk special.
I was gonna say next Aussie takeover, we might have to get the budgie smugglers out. The other term that I saw in here, very similar in my mind, but it's different. It's thongs. Thongs mean something different to you guys.
Flip flops. Like
Yeah,
flip-flops,
thongs,
what do you guys
flip
say?
flop. They're like a type of sandal, sort of. Yeah, they're like a type of sandal that we can just like slip on, slip off, and throw at people. But yeah,
And you guys say it with a straight face. You guys call them thongs because to us that means something totally different.
yeah.
Yeah.
So in New Zealand, we
also
actually call
call
them jandals.
Yeah.
Jandals. I like that.
I've
term.
heard that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All very fun. And then last question before we finally get to some Mario Kart Tour. A jumper. It's
That's just
apparently
like
a sweater
yeah.
over a pullover or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not a kangaroo. It's an actual like you throw on.
No, it's
Yeah.
just like it's sort of like a coat, but it's like a sweatshirt thing,
Yeah.
sort of. Yeah, woolly, thick, keeps you warm.
Cool. I like it. All right, guys, let's finally get to some Mario Kart Tour. We are right now in the New Year's Tour. And so obviously the New Year's, I kind of will just jump right in, guys. There's no transition here. We got a lot of catching up to do. So in 2022, last year, the New Year's Tour released Meowser, which ended up being driver of the year, and 3DS Bowser's Castle, which was the most used track. It was used 10 times throughout the 26 tours throughout the year. So if this New Year's Tour of 2023 encapsulated what 2023 had the same way. What do you think this year has in store? If this were the case, would that mean that you're optimistic that good things will come, or are you a little concerned we're starting with the Trick Tour? What's your thoughts on the Trick Tour in 2023 as one of the 26 tours we have this year?
Well, I personally don't mind trick tours because I kind of like the concept and it's like sort of high scoring. For me, towards the end of this year, I think that they were like slowly pushing out like bad content to like try and like hype up the next year. And because like we've got the booster course pass, so they've got to push out tracks for that. It's like what they did with Sky High Sunday. Like as soon as that got announced for the booster course, I'm pretty sure a lot of us already knew that was going to come to tour sometime soon because it's a tour track, but it's not in tour. So I have hope for like the first few months of the new year, but then I reckon it will do what they usually do and sort of go downhill towards the end and then just pick themselves back up and just sort of go like a wave.
Okay. So this might be one of a couple down tours before they bring
good stuff.
Good. Okay. What are your thoughts on the Trick Tour? Obviously, one of the other comments I had was, it seems like the order of tours these last 2 months have been kind of out of whack. You know, it seems like something very obviously happened to the order. You know, I think one of the things is some examples. We had a lot of autumn items released after the autumn tour, and then the autumn tour was like a city tour, and then what some people are calling this upcoming space tour. That space tour would have been a great New Year's tour. It would have been an awesome way to start the year. So what do you guys think about the order, and then in combination with having a trick tour, what's your thoughts on kind of everything that's going on when it comes to the ordering of the tours?
I blame intern for everything. Yeah.
I think for me, this is a bit of a talking point, but I think there must be something going on behind the scenes of like quality assurance or the size of the team, because it's not just the trick tour. There's actually been a bit of analysis done, and we know that some of the tracks have been done years in advance. Like, for example, when we got Sydney 2, the screenshot data for that was from 2020 with Barushi. So we knew that was a year before done. And there's been a lot of weird things happening in the game this year. Like, I'll list off a couple of glitches. So like Dr. Bowser and Gold PD had the wrong hitbox. They were like mid-size. Multiplayer didn't function in the battle mode for some reason, and they couldn't fix it for a whole tour. The Metro tour started late by like 5 hours, which is a bit weird. Record Setter wasn't really working properly for a few tours, and they had that weird level 8 second addition to it. So to me, that kind of indicates it's like a lot less quality QA and testing on content. So I'm not too sure how big the development team is behind the game at the moment. So things with the booster course pass as well could be getting rushed out, which is why you know, before we had a tour where we had one track, we had 2 RTs, and that was like a big thing. Like, oh my gosh. And now we're getting every tour, we're getting a new retro and for the booster course pass. Some of these tracks aren't even going to be in the booster course pass, like Luigi Raceway won't be in. And we know that from data mines, but we got it in the game and we've only seen it for one tour and it's never popped up again. So they're kind of, seems to me like they're just kind of rushing through the remaining track content, which is a little bit concerning, especially given how some tours, we've had some pretty disappointing tours, like the Autumn Tour. Peach vs. Bowser 2 was pretty okay, but didn't have a new character. This tour was really fun. I think it's, you know, fun, but something, you know, enjoy the ride, see where it goes. But the new character diversity has been really nice. The last Mario was in September, which is really nice. So since then we've had Luigi, we've had Petey, we've had Larry, which was huge. We've had even, you know, Toad and Toadette, and Toad hasn't had an alternate character in 2 years now, and he's finally getting one next tour. Which is, you know, really exciting for, you know, people are hoping for DK and Wario, and, you know, I'm hoping for like Bowser Jr., which is like my favorite character. Hopefully gets another one. You know, just a bit of hope. So I really hope that's a sign to come where they're going to start pushing out more different alternate characters and really pumping up that content, because, you know, last tour was super fun. The RTs are really good. Next tour looks incredible, and, you know, Singapore 3 is going to be really good. So.
Yeah, if I may, what I think has happened is that they had like a large dev team, and then they announced that they were going to make a booster course pass for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So it sort of like broke them in half. So there's a smaller dev team working on Mario Kart 8, and there's a sort of a much bigger one working on, much bigger one working on Mario Kart 8, and a smaller one working on Mario Kart Tour. So I think that's why there's like lots of bugs. And I think it's just gone to the point where like, yeah, we're excited that there's new stuff, but they're sort of force feeding all the new stuff. Like they're putting too much in and not letting us like digest all the new stuff. It's like we have a new retro like every single tour, and we're like, okay, yeah, that's good, but like let us conserve this. I mean, I've seen other video games do this, and like they release a new game each year, and then next you know they're just gone because they've just never savored the moment.
You're saying the tracks were gone or the games were gone?
Oh, the games just in general, like the concept and the franchise just gone.
So there's what you're saying is this could be a sign of things to come of that to maybe
I think
last
I think,
days.
Yeah, I think MiFlame and I have talked about this before. It's because he said that he's showed me these analyses before, and like according to like Samsung players, was it just Samsung or just in general?
Yeah. So I'll jump in. So Samsung Galaxy data shows the amount of players in Mario Kart Tour that are playing. Beginning of 2022, so the Meowser Tour, it's about 120,000, 130,000 just on Samsung, which is really good. This tour, though, even the holiday tour, when you check, is only 74,000, which is a stark decline. And ever since, I'm really curious to see the revenue from when we get it from Sensor Tower. So for me, my view on the life of the game will be 2024 when the booster course pass is done, because Nintendo's not alien to shutting down games before. They've shut down what was it, the Mii game for the mobile, I forget what it was called, like Miitomo or something. They shut down Dragula Lost, Dr. Mario World, the Miiverse, which was a forum app, so they're not foreign to it. So I really hope the game has legs, because there's so much potential for just the Mario Kart game just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
But it's worrying, but it's good. We enjoy it while it's here.
Yeah. So I was saying before, what I think it's happening is like they're slowly dropping bad content and then picking it up with good content, so they can slowly like sort of kill off the player base. So like when they do eventually cut the game, there's not a lot of backlash. Because in my opinion, I think the game will be lucky to see early 2025, because booster course will be finished by 2024, and I personally don't see the game lasting until 2025. But I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I've got a couple things. Yeah, I've got a couple things to say. I think, firstly, just to stand up on the soapbox for a second, I find that there's a lot of just people not being happy with, if we get one tour that's not perfect, exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
With all the new character alts and everything, then everyone's disappointed, which I do not understand. I actually don't get it at all, because it's like, hello, how many tickets do you have? Like, are you crazy? Like, how many tickets are you expecting to spend every tour on all these new alts? But that's just me. And so when it comes to like the order of the courses and the order of the tours and things like that, I think it's fun to speculate, and I've got no issue with that. I think it's fun to say, oh, maybe this happened, or maybe that happened, and maybe the autumn leaves should have come out on the other tour. But at the end of the day, I take every tour and I just enjoy it. I just take it for what it is, have fun with it. If an item's good, invest into it. If it's not, just leave it. There's 1,000 other items to invest into. In terms of the longevity of the game, and in terms of software development and things like that, I know from working with software developers myself that there is never enough QA that can be possible. So I do agree that maybe in the past there's been some QA issues, but I know that they will have processes, they will have teams who do all that stuff. I think sometimes things just fall over, like in the example of the battle mode multiplayer breaking. That was obviously just something where the software just went down and they had to fix it. They had to take it offline to fix it. So I think that's reality. I don't think you've got different developers working on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Sorry, I don't think you have the same developers working on Tour and Deluxe because they're completely different coding languages. There will be synergies between those teams, but they will be completely separate teams. That's just the way it works when it comes to coding languages and teams and within these organizations. I want to say that you could be right, Jezza, in terms of how long the game lasts. My concern is how fast they have been moving at a pace, and there's gonna be a shift, I would say, in the next 3 to 6 months. I would say there's going to be a shift of pace. It's kind of phases, if you think about it that way. We've had the 2022 phases, but even within 2022, we had different phases. We had the start of the year, which is very different to the middle, which was different to the end in terms of the kind of content we're getting, the pacing, obviously the removal of gotcha, introduction of level 8, and then the quad cap. You can kind of almost see it as seasons of the game in an overarching kind of way. And so I think we're going to get to a point where there are no more courses to develop. There are no more courses to bring in. And I actually predict that they're going to keep the game going for some period of time, and they're just going to bring in new nitros and rotate the courses better. And, you look at it, this tour with this trick tour, they didn't need to do all these different repeats, but they did. And I think that's because they want to keep something up their sleeve all the time. And I think that's a really smart move for us to say, oh, they're not bringing in enough new content, the game must be at an end. Makes no sense. Because if they gave us everything we wanted in the next tour, they would have nothing less to give us. So I think they have to always keep something up their sleeve. They have to be thinking long term, and we have to be patient with the content coming up. So that's me.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I agree completely with that. And I think as well, 2022 in particular, we saw such a large influx of content. And as a Mario Kart content creator on YouTube, I found myself at times just super overwhelmed. And I can imagine how people that are doing tour content all the time over a longevity of time can really see that as well. It's just every tour, that once, I think it was the Animal Tour in particular, we got 2 nitro tracks on top of all the different remix tracks, RTs, etc. So I think longevity, it could potentially be 2024. They could even potentially keep it rolling over to the next system of Mario Kart just to keep that hype train alive, because you can clearly see the both cross-marketing platform working really well. I know I have a lot of friends that play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in particular. They're coming over to tour now as well, and you can see it correlating both sides. So
yeah,
I think what they're doing is working. So I guess longevity wise, I think we're going to be okay, especially this year.
Yeah. No, some really good points. I kind of want to touch on 2 of them. One being, I do think that the reason that they've incorporated a whole tour of RTs is I do think that they want to incorporate RTs more often. And I don't know if they they bring back Maple Treeway, they bring back, the regular, the reverse, the trick, and the RT, and bring in a set of 4 every single tour, because I think that actually might be for a lot easier for them to say if we go back to Sydney, we have Sydney Sprint 7 one time, whatever it might be, they can bring in 4 tracks. And so I think from their thought process, it's easier to develop a 4th variation than it is to build a brand new track. And so from that perspective, they might say, hey, this might be actually a little easier for us to be able to bring in more content, to bring in more loadouts options, So I think for us, we may start to get stagnant when we start to think about all right, I got all these tracks set, got these tracks set. And, maybe there's a lot more to us think in the longevity of the game, or how we process things as the players, knowing that there's new coverage I have to cover. So, for instance, this tour, I'm really struggling on the Donut Plains 3RT, and it's just it's killing me. For All Cup ranking, I'm doing well on almost every track, have at least a level 7, but this one I have level 2. So I'm really struggling on this one variation. So by adding more variations, that's more loadouts that we have to handle. And so I think from Nintendo's perspective, that's one way to kind of keep an easy way for them to kind of keep us on our toes. And so maybe I think, hopefully we have more RTs involved in bringing in, and then point 2 I was going to make is I do foresee it is weird that they're bringing in like they've been bringing in like 2 retro tracks for a lot of these tours this past year. When does that dry up? When do we get to a point where all those tracks are brought in? And I do think that if for some reason they shoved all these tracks down our throats for the next year and a half, and they just kept the game running, and they just kept bringing in some of these older tracks, but maybe bringing in alt, I think we would be okay. I don't think that I think the core, and honestly, it's kind of been weird, having this channel, having this podcast. I ask people, are you day one player? And I feel like 80% of the people that are playing today were day one players. Like they were here from the beginning, and I don't know if that causes them to want to stick around with the game more. But these are the diehards. These are the people that probably aren't going to leave the game. And so I think when it comes to getting a new player, or getting a new cart, and kind of getting some of the older tracks recirculated, I think actually they'd probably be okay with if we had 500, 600 tracks. I think they'd be okay with recirculating those old tracks, because there's so many of them. What's your thoughts?
I'll make a comment on. Oh, it's okay. You go first.
Oh, look, I was going to say, I think that kind of the thought on that was like, what is the long term for them? Will this be the only Mario Kart mobile game they ever release, or when it ends, what do you do? Like, you do the same thing again in 5 years' time, like take a break, come back at it again? Or are you going to try and sustain this one game as big, just because it's such a big franchise? Like some of the titles that we listed off in relation to like Dr. Mario and some of the others, like they've got fan bases, but nothing the size of the Mario Kart community. So that's the part that I'm always drawn back to be like, they surely find a way to drag this out longer, because how do you kind of restart again, or do they just not do that again? And once it dries down to a certain point, it'd be interesting on the revenue front, because I know so many whales, from Shadow and Starter. I don't know how spending habits of the rest of you are, but my spend is way down now post gotcha era, because there's just not a way to spend that, and it's not really worthwhile. Like premium challenges, you buy those 3 cards, great amount of resources. But for me, like from talking about like average spend per player, look, I don't know, maybe some lower end, like some Dolphins are spending more because the cards are so well, and maybe Wales have come down, they've kind of leveled it out. But I'd be interested to see on that. They were forced to go this way post gotcha, but so where's that at? And if the money's not coming in, that's obviously when the game dries up too, because they're not going to continue to pump it out regardless. So that part's really interesting. I still think we're definitely getting 2 more years out of it. I think it'll be 2023 and 24. And going back to this tour, I think they did it really good. Just don't double up so many tracks.
Just fill up.
Especially for ACR players, like it's a bit of a pain, especially when you're doing 45 tracks now and so many double ups. You're playing a track and it might be donut playing Serie RT, and you're like, yep, got my great run, and then I've got to do this again. Like we're going to go play it in the alternate cup. So there's just so many RT variants. Would have been such an easy fix, but that is kind of what we got used to with this game. Is like they do everything pretty well, and then there's just that little bit that you're just scratching your head going, I don't know who decided this to not put in Maple Trail ART or some city variants or whatever the case. Just so many double ups across this tour, but otherwise I've liked it as a tour. Like it's been a fun grind. You're getting higher scores, you're getting closer on your sheet in terms of getting closer to 100% than usual, just because you're getting more 200 plus action type tracks. So overall I haven't minded it. But it's very interesting times for the game heading into this year for sure.
Yeah, because
so many RTs and no Rock Mountain RT, still waiting for that one.
Yeah,
that'll probably be a meme for a while. I don't think we'll ever get that track anytime soon.
Going back to what Aussie Kart said, as you were saying, like the removal of gacha, gacha was annoying, but it was the main source of income from the game for Nintendo. So removing that source of income has had a huge dent, because nobody's really going to buy these ruby packs, because in Gold Pass you get 90 rubies, and you got the multiplayer pipe and you got the token pipes, So you got ranked, so you're really fine for rubies. And then with the premium challenges, like over here, I don't know if New Zealand shares the same economy as Australia, but it's like 30, it's like $15, $17 for a premium challenge pack. So it's just really not worth it. And like
It's even
even
worse
back
over here,
back
man.
when we had the packs, like I remember looking at packs because I was like in the Reddit server, I'm like buy one pack and I always get what I want. I'm like known as the one pack wonder. But they're like $30 for like what in America it's like $20 or $15, but over here it's like $30, and then it's $60 for like the driver, the card, and the 90 rubies. So it's like Jesus. Yeah.
I've got a quick story about the pack. So when Kangaroo Yoshi came out, I was really like down on rubies, and something had happened like in my real life, and I was really, you know, needing something to get through it. I thought, oh, this Kangaroo Yoshi, that's awesome. I've got 90 rubies. Let's go. Long story short, we got to 2 of 100 in the pipe, and we finally got it. So that was about $200 cool down the drain because of the prices over here, which was insane. And you know, got some great stuff along the way, like the green double decker, which is probably one of the worst carts in the whole game. We've got someone who took it to level 8 in the Discord. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, just
Pauline. But no, it's
you got Diddy Kong for the first time.
Community. Yeah. Someone from the Reddit community, I see, you know, a lot of different players. You know, we've got whales there, we've got dolphins, we've got gold pass, we've got free to play, and a lot of the whales seem to be dropping off their spending. Oh, I haven't spent that much, is what I hear. But then a lot of the gold pass players I've seen are now like, oh, I just bought the gold hard hat. Like quite a lot of them. A lot of people like the gold pass are buying the commemoratives and you know some of the cheaper premium challenges. So I'd be really interested to see because you know even myself, I rarely bought a commemorative, and now I bought the Frosty Bells and I got the Moo Moo off-roader, which has been insane. And I felt like, you know, I don't have to spend, you know, $60 for an item now. I can spend $5 for a really cool item and save 100 rubies. You know, it's $5, you know, that's not really much. So it'd be really interesting to see. And one more comment I was going to make on your first point. I'd love to see more arties are so fun. I want to see like more remixes as well. We could get a Peach Gardens too. In the 8th version, the Mario Kart 8, you actually go through the left part of the garden that's locked off in Mario Kart Tour. So normally you go through that big fountain area and then you go around these flower beds. But in Mario Kart 8, you actually turn left and go to the next part of the garden, which you don't see, and then loop back around. So that would be a really fun, like, second version. They could do that for a lot of tracks. So there's a lot of different content they could do, and I'm really hoping that they go down that route because it's really exciting.
I want to just mention, based on what Aussie cut, what you said about, you know, do they keep this game going? Do they kind of kill it and then 5 years later come back? I just want to speculate for a minute to say, you know, if you look at how many updates we've already had in this app already, you know, would you have, if you're a day one player, would you have thought we would have got this many years of content and this many years of updates? And if you look at the game and how it was at the start versus now, it's a completely different game. So just to speculate, who's to say the game ends at all? They could keep updating it, bringing these big fundamental game changing, you know, they've got complete control over their in-game economy. So I think they can course correct, and I think they have deep pockets to do that. And to say, you know what, we'll lost lead over here for 6 months or a year, and then we'll gain back the player base, or we'll push this new update through, we'll change the game. And they could do that for the next 5-10 years, really, if they wanted. If they've got the pockets, the deep pockets to do that, if they've got the developer, and if they've got the fans behind it, I think they could keep the game going, and I'd love to see that. And you know, your ideas, MiFlame, that you're talking about, absolutely, they could do. Like, it's a creative process. They could do whatever they want with this game.
Well, as I was going to speak to that, maybe as phone and the technology continues to advance in mobile technology, there's so much of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that just hasn't made its way into the game, probably because it can't really handle, you know, maybe the quality of the graphics or the size of these tracks and some of that stuff. So in 18 months, 2 years' time, the phones continue to get stronger. They keep dropping off, you know, older devices as they've done through the life frame so far. And then there's just a whole bunch of more tracks to build into the game. So, you know, for a day one player, day one whales, I'm sure all of us, you know, would love the game to keep going, because, you know, to see your investment cut off and the time and everything put in is would be crushing. But I still think there's time to go, and there's if you were a day one player, the game is so different and just crazy different that you wouldn't. We went back to that and played a tour. Like, you'd love to almost be able to play a tour 1 again, just to see what it was like. It'd be a fun little thing. I'm sure there's some videos floating around. There wouldn't be a lot of it, but it'd be interesting to see what it would look like. Play a Mario Circuit 1.
Without drift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you guys make a lot of good points. I've actually I like this conversation. We really haven't talked like this much about the future of the game really on Kart Talk quite yet. So I kind of want to touch on a couple different points. First of all, I'd love to, if someone out there is like a game consultant and like helps these games kind of navigates this new mobile technology and the mobile gaming and like how to keep people on their toes. Love to have you on. Like, these are all things it'd be because I'm sure it's all like there are best practices probably that they're following to a T, and some that they're deviating a little bit. But you bring up a lot of good points. Like the couple is that like the paywalled items are less paywalled. They're, instead of with a $20, $30, $60, now you can get it for $3 or $15 at a like for this gold helmet. So they're making that much more accessible. Man, there's so many great topics you guys brought up. One thing from my mindset is that Mario Kart Tour is arguably the biggest franchise within Mario, like within Nintendo. Like, everyone knows Mario Kart. Mario Kart is like their cash cow. Like, this is something that it's very precious to them, that even like the thought process of killing off one of their versions. I mean, right now they're keeping the deluxe the Mario Kart 8 alive, and people are probably still downloading it at a pretty high clip every single month, just because they're finally getting the Switch. And of course the game that they have to have is Mario Kart, because that's what they grew up doing. So I do think that they're going to keep this as their prize jewel. And I do think that when you think about kind of like from a business perspective, emerging markets versus like existing, I think they actually probably want to get away from the console a little bit more. And actually, I think they do see mobile as like the future, especially when you think about micro purchasing and stuff, and like the culture that does go with that being the potential always being there. So I think that's actually because it's the future, because that's where people are going to be doing much more on their phones. I do see them not killing that off. I think if there's some way to get through the next 2 years of keeping it alive, I think they could be keeping it alive forever. I mean, I don't know what mobile gaming will look like in a year or two, just because of its rapid growth and how quickly it's continued to evolve. I've kind of mentioned a couple times my son's little side account that we had on an older phone. It still like operates, like it's still on like a user operable device.
Fine.
But it honestly, over just the last month, maybe 2 months, the lag is so bad it is basically unplayable.
I had that on my phone. Sorry to cut you off, but
no, go ahead. I mean, to me, it's like that's what I'm scared about, is like, do they move so fast that they're alienating players that, again, not everyone just is able to buy a new phone quite frequently or upgrade a new phone. And for I think the player base that they need to attract are those players who have an old phone laying around, and like a son or like a little brother or somebody who's just aging into and just found an old device and saying, I want to play some games on this old device. Like, what can I do on some Wi-Fi? And here's Mario Kart Tour. So that's the part that I'm the most scared about. That's the part that could kill off Mario Kart Tour, in my opinion, is like how advanced they're moving for how phones are operating. And so I'm hoping from like a QA perspective, like I would love, and QA, we kept mentioning this term, it's quality assurance. It's making sure that everything's working properly. I think that I'd hope that maybe they delay some tours, maybe they shuffle some things around to make sure the game is not breaking at this level, because I didn't even play ranked with that phone for the last 2 tours, for the last 2 ranked, because it's unplayable. I'm literally sitting there and like waiting for my player to like hit their drift. It's
Yeah.
and then like, you know, it looks like you're dropping drift, but then it picks back up. It's very, very strange.
Yeah.
That's my biggest concern.
I had 2 points. Firstly, this whole time I thought that QA was questions and answers. So,
So did I.
sorry.
Listeners are happy.
my second point is that I had a Samsung S7. I've had that for like 5 or something years, and I played Mario Kart Tour on it. And when they first cut the 32-bit Samsungs, my performance just went down. Like, it was just really hard to play. Like, I would, as you mentioned, I would drift, but it wouldn't register for like another 2 seconds. But then that was also an old phone. It was at the point where text messages stopped coming through. So I got a new phone for Christmas, and everything is just smooth. Like, all my games, like Pokemon Go is smooth, Mario Kart Tour is smooth, and just everything is just smooth.
Tip for
I
you,
had,
Studfit, get a work phone and then use that for Mario Kart Tour. This is why I carry
Yeah.
2 phones. This is a flipping $2,200 iPhone 10. I mean, yes, it's 5 years old. Yes. But $2,200 is what I spent on this phone.
Wow.
And it heats up with flipping Mario Kart Tour.
That's
you're
what
so
my old
right,
phone did.
but-
It just
up.
overheat, and it was actually quite concerning because, like, sorry for
Yeah.
cutting you off. I'd play it, and my hands would just start burning.
Yeah.
Because like, it'd
I
just be
can't
so
play.
hot, so just
I
have
put
to
it
stop.
down. Yeah. I play 2 accounts, but you know, the thing is they have to keep moving at that bleeding edge, otherwise then they'll lose the players who want to see the innovation, right? So it's a catch-22 for the developers for sure.
I do like that Matt's carrying around 2 phones. His missus would be like, "What's he doing?" But he's running 2 MKT
She
accounts.
knows.
So
Same
It's Mario Kart.
yeah. He's got a bat phone. Like, no, he's just
Nothing else,
free to
nothing
play.
else.
He's got a gold
And I've got a
pass,
Queen frenzy going on right now.
Hey.
Paused. It's paused.
Pause. Nice.
Yeah.
They need to add a pause feature, but yeah,
Yes,
Yeah,
agreed.
the
no,
point,
we just
Stud.
have to like sort of like keep the app open, but select off it. And like, if you accidentally hit your phone and go back onto it, you're screwed.
Yeah.
just
I
that
had
point,
the
Stud.
old-
Do you think? Sorry, go MiFlame. Go.
I was just
Go,
going
go.
to comment on the comment. So I had a old Samsung Galaxy S10, and that after 32-bit, it started, overheating as well. I had to get a new phone, 22, which is also working well. But commenting on players not being able to play because of accessibility, there's a lot of people that couldn't play the game anymore after 32-bit and had to leave the community. From what I saw on Reddit, there was a good 10, 20 regular players in the server that just said, I can't play anymore because of the 32-bit. They had to stop playing, which is, really sad to see, in the community where all these great community members and lovely people, and then they just can't play the game anymore. But they do have to keep moving forward and keep going. But, still at that point, be careful of, how far they're pushing it so that, people are still able to play.
Yeah, some people in the community, like, they were cut from the 32 wipe, and so some of them took like drastic measures. Like some person in the community server went and like really enjoyed playing the game, so like went and tried and like installing, like they like jailbroke their phone and like tried installing like a 64-bit thing onto it. But I don't think they did it, so I think they just ended up getting a new phone. But yeah, some people went through drastic measures.
Well, you're going to say they had to rob a store or something for a new phone.
I hope
It
not.
took a lot of
I hope
work
not.
there.
I hope
Well,
not.
I mean, I hate
How
for this.
drastic.
I feel like, in some ways it's kind of like as Matt was mentioning, the MOA and like, like the extinction of these players. Like if you're eating into the player base, you have to make up for it some way. And I when some of those stats you were talking about, MiFlame, about going from 120,000 players to 70 or 80,000, like that is a little concerning. So I think that I do think that the reason, and obviously I think the main reason they got rid of the gacha was to avoid any type of lawsuits or anything like that, but also like to expand to new countries and to get this game in front of newer players, and then make the price, even if the price points are a little lower, hopefully more people are starting to play the game. And by opening up this in new countries, again, like we said, like Mario Kart Tour Mario Kart in general is going to be something anyone wants to play. And so hopefully that's that slowly integrates. But we're in the middle of a shift, and I think that shift could be seen as alarming, could be seen as like the beginning of the end. But I honestly do think it is a shift. It is kind of this interesting change where they're trying to make things a little bit more, some of the casual players are going to pay more instead of relying on these, a smaller number of players to keep spending as much as they have.
Yeah,
which
well,
I do.
just quickly on that side, I was
Yeah.
going to say, I would think Nintendo, the view on this would be someone that is working off such an old phone is highly likely a free-to-play player. I just think there'd be such a high correlation between that. So they would look at it and go, we are losing, they might have lost 20,000 players, but someone that's spending money on packs, you would just assume there'd be a high proportion of that is running a really good phone. I'm sure there are some isolated cases, and you might be able to speak to the Reddit community that dropped off MiFlame, but like, were they free to play? Were they gold pass only? Like,
I think some were free to play. Yeah, some were free to play. I think
some were free to play. A couple were gold pass. I knew there was one whale. They bought I think they bought every pack, and I think they almost dropped off because of the 32-bit. So,
wow,
more free to play. It does, and that's something they would have, looked at and checked. Oh, we're cutting off paying plays, or we're looking at, because they would have the data. They've got all the data for pipe pools, they did have the price for pipe pools. So it'd be interesting to know, but it's just fun to speculate. I find it really enjoyable anyway.
Yeah, no, I think that that one player, that one whale might have been certainly an outlier, but I do think that most businesses are just anywhere you go have kind of like an 80-20 rule where 80% of the 20% of the players are actually bringing in 80% of the revenue because they're that top amount. I think it was probably maybe even a little too top heavy. Maybe it was like a 90-10 where 10% of the community was making up 90% of the revenue, and just was too much pressure on these whales. And so obviously, we saw people when level 8 was released, a lot of these whales dropped out because we just can't, this isn't sustainable to keep spending as much as I can for, into this game. And so maybe they wanted more of like a, 60-40, and maybe, 60% of the revenue came from 40%. And I do think that their target market right now, kind of keeping in everything in the business terms, their target market is really the gold pass only. And how do we squeeze more out of them? Yeah. And so, I think if they get rid of the free to play, they don't care. But they don't want to lose the gold pass only, because that's like their gateway to potentially making more revenue. Shadow Legend, let me ask you, if you don't mind, because you are or have been a whale. What's your thoughts on all of this and kind of the changing of the spending and the future of the game?
Well, I think just echoing some of the points that you guys have said before, I think 2021 was sort of a bit plateauy, a lot of just RT tours. And I think 2022, we saw a lot of introduction of, new characters, new tracks, and of course, coinciding with the DLC and the booster packs. I think in terms of the whale side of things, I'm thinking that how you guys have said, maybe Nintendo don't mind weeding out some of those free-to-play players. And even if some whales are dropped off, I think it's, and sort of what you said, Stud, about squeezing out every sort of bit from even just GPO players. And I think it's sort of you got GPO, then your whales at the top. And I think, with the gacha gone, and I think everything's just sort of coming to this sort of one set point where there isn't much incentive for even me as a whale to go and buy all the ruby packs. But I think for me, getting the premium challenge cards, and because I've got I've maxed out some of the categories in my shop, so I do get tickets sometimes, not on the daily, but every second or third day I'd have a ticket, a high-end ticket that pops up in the shop. So sometimes if I am low on rubies, the premium challenges pretty much sustain me for a majority of the tour based on the rate of tickets that I get. But sometimes towards the end of the tour, if I'm a bit short on rubies, I might get a few of those, 1, 2, maybe 3 of those, those 150 ruby packs. So it helps me, helps sustain, for me personally, on my level, to be able to get those tickets. That's for my situation though, in the daily select, and being able to get all the high-end tickets in the tier shop. But I think that overall, I think the game should be able to last at least through this booster pack with DLC sort of timeline. But then I think overall, I don't think Nintendo would mind if a lot of you guys mentioned before about 120 or 130,000 plays on the Samsung, was it? Back in
Yeah,
beginning of the
120.
year.
February. Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's like what, 75? You said
Yeah,
Roughly,
and
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
only. I should say that's only Android, so that's not iPhone. So we don't know how many people are on Apple.
Yeah.
But it could be way more. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just
And
want
there's
to
something
jump in really
I know
quick.
this is kind of this might be offensive to some, but I do think that more again, this is kind of a guess, but I think that it could be more free to play players using a Samsung or some kind of, not that like, Apple iPhones are like so much more expensive, but
Yeah,
I do
they're
think
a
that
lot
like
more expensive.
there is a price point where I do think that there probably are more free to play players using a Samsung than maybe an iPhone. Something to be said for that too. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. I was going to comment on. It kind of goes back to what we said before about so many tracks being added to the game and increasing expenditure. Whales aren't purchasing the rubies, but there's so many new tracks, and Gold Pass free to play may not have coverage, and they've got so many commemoratives now. This week, to get the Black Mii suit, because I'm saving tickets, I'm a bit of a min-max player, and I thought, I don't have a glider for a Cooper Cape RT, so what do? There's a 2023 glider I can purchase from the shop, the commemorative, and $6, and just get a glider for that track, which I didn't have before, and it's a lot cheaper. So I think that kind of helps where, he's helping, as you said, the gateway to more spending, where Gold Pass players are okay, I can spend a couple of extra dollars and then get a glider or something for so many new tracks, because it's very hard for, us to keep up. And, it helps out Nintendo. So it's very interesting. Yeah.
Just last point from me. So as you were saying, going back to what you were saying a bit earlier, StudFit, you were talking about like the player base. I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure on this, but there are still some other parts of the world that have yet to see this game. Like I'm pretty sure someone mentioned in their Reddit server, like sometime around August or September last year, that one of the Middle Eastern countries first got access to that game during last year's August, September. So there's still other places that have yet to see it, but that's due to like religions and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, they just got access to the game because of religious reasons.
I don't know the exact reason, but I'm pretty sure that's what they said. That's what I got told. So
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be post gotcha, no gambling.
Yeah.
So it'd be like that's what Belgium brought in, and it'd be anywhere that gambling is like illegal.
Yeah.
From a not illegal, but probably like from a religious standpoint, the game is no longer doesn't have a gambling element anymore. So
so it's opened up to more places.
Yeah. With for those watching at home, if you just got access to this game and you somehow stumbled across this channel, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the live stream if this is something that was new to your country and you just got access to it. That'd be great to hear. We kind of talked a little bit about Miis. I know this is a hot topic, so I'd like to at least take the next 15-20 minutes or so to talk a little bit about the Miis. I feel like it's kind of time to do a little Mii check, and I think it's a topic that comes up almost every single Kart Talk because it is a moving train, and I've seen even a lot of people who were not on the Mii train jump in here in the last couple of weeks, especially with some of these discounted Miis in this, and kind of to our point, not really knowing what to spend on our rubies on. And so I think it's kind of time to do this Mii check. I kind of mentioned earlier, even I'm at this point with Donut Plains 3RT, where I'm basically working with either level 1 or level 2 items. And really, when it comes to the non-Miis, there's only 2 top skills. There's White Tanooki Mario and Chef Rosalina, which I never invested really into at all. They're basically sitting at level 1, or a couple Mii suits like the Cheep Cheep Mii, which I also had to use last week or last tour on Snowland, or the Moo Moo Mii, which I love saying in that fun way. So I'm actually like kind of running through the numbers, and I was crunching them, and I was like, well, if I took either one, Cheep Cheep Mii or White Tanooki Mario, if I took them both to level 7, double uncapped, the actions that I would get more for Giant Banana, which would be about 10-15, than getting just a double coin frenzy with the Moo Moo Mii or with the Cheep Cheep Mii. I actually would get about 1,000 points more with the Moo Moo Mii, leaving those 15 actions, but because the base points making up for that. So what I just kind of, I hit in this point where I was like, it makes more sense for me to invest in a non-top skill Mii suit than a top skill giant banana driver. And so, I know we've been kind of talking about this tipping point happening. Are we there?
I mean, for me, I never really purchased Miis. Like the only Miis that I collected were the ones that they gave away for free, like in gold. Well, wouldn't say free, but the
ranked rewards and stuff.
Ranked rewards and stuff. But I think now is the time to buy all the Miis to increase those base points because they're a lot cheaper than what they were before. So now, because like a couple of tours ago, I brought DK Mii for the first time, Yellow Mii for the first time. So it's better to buy them now because they're 30 rubies cheaper and will help you in the long run.
Just to touch on that point, I think in particular for someone like me that doesn't really play too much in the competitive scene, just having that little bit less rubies to purchase each Mii suit has actually had myself including just picking up a Mii suit occasionally just because they look cool and they look stylish and they do help out later on down the track as well. So I could definitely see someone that's starting off with a new player investing in those Miis, obviously getting those extra points as well. But yeah, I could definitely see that being a massive strategy for someone that's new coming into the game too.
Yeah, so I had someone in our server who invested into the Cheep Cheep Mii. Shout out to Skogland, who took it to level 8, I think, and core capped it or something like that, which is insane. And did that this tour for an ACR top 100 run, so hopefully he can get that badge. But it gave him like 9 courses, which is fantastic. And of course, I don't even think it's a debate really, stuff. I think that the reality is they are a valid option now. If they give you some courses, you're going to use them. You're okay with understanding, hey, this is a bubble driver. I need to front run for coin frenzies. And you've got the easy bot track. You know exactly what your strategy is. You go in on it, you do it, done and dusted. If that's fun for you and if that's what you want to do, or you're really competitive, you want to do that, I think that's great. I've got a bit of a hot take that is that I would prefer White Tanooki Mario any day of the week because it's fun.
Yeah,
he's a cool character.
Yeah,
giant banana. So I actually, in the same way that you accept and say, I accept that I'm going to drive with the Mii. I accept it's going to give me more points, but it's a bubble driver that I'm investing into. In that, in the same way, I make the same trade-offs and say, I'll leave a couple thousand points on the table for a fun driver that I like, a skill that I like, and enjoy that. So it really, for me, it's just a different option. And for me, the trade-off is actually the amount of coverage I'm gaining from a driver like White Tanooki Mario. He's not going to give me, 6, 7, 8 courses. He's going to give me,
a lot,
whatever it is, 22 courses or something like that. So that's the trade-off for me, and I get to use them. That's the key. I get to use them on 22 courses, and I want to use them on 22 courses. So that's for me. Really, you got to look inside yourself and say, what do I want to be using? Because you invest into that Cheep Cheep Mii to level 8 and quad cap it, you're going to be using it forever.
How many courses, Stud? Like right now, if he goes to 7, how many courses? Is it like 2? Well, that's the I think that's still the problem, is that you're not for 14 tickets. If it gives you 2 tracks, not ranked, like just ACR, like, do you need it? Like, do you even need, like, that's where I think I don't know. I can't justify a non-plus skill just yet.
Yeah, it's inventory dependent.
I think the one would give me very few tracks, but yeah, it's good. It's certainly a good point. I think that's a good idea.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I think like for the Miis, like me personally, like just based on my inventory, like I have all the Miis, but even still, like at max base points, I'm the same as Matt. Like I can't justify like running donut planes 3LT with a cheap or whatever the 2 Miis that you mentioned.
Bubble frenzy.
Yeah, bubble frenzy. Like front running for double or like double coin frenzies or triple coin frenzies. Like I personally, to enjoy the game, I like using those, even if we're restricted to saying the top 4 like meta skills, being those coin box, boomerang, lucky 7, giant banana. I still think that gives me enough variability to say that I still enjoy cycling through those 4 skills, and also the fact that White Tanooki, for example, Mario in that instance, has more coverage. So yeah, like to invest all those tickets just for like a handful of courses, it still for me doesn't, it's like I'm not at that point where I could say that a non-plus skill me still trumps over a regular like plus skill driver at this stage, I think.
Mini spa stud. So I on 2 tracks, the Goomba Mii suit, 4 single cap, and I've done that with Boo 4 single cap to just cover a couple of tracks in ACR. So not a crazy amount of tickets. You're getting a base of like 1,300, something like that. I think I wouldn't be going to 7. I just can't see that we're there yet for you on that to do. Yeah, but depending if it comes up in ranked, maybe it's a move. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see. So I think you're maybe voted against across.
This feels like a meat-avention.
Yeah.
Mintervention.
Well, I mean, I'm using that example. I'm using that example to ask the question: are we at that tipping point? Because if we're not at that tipping point, we will get there. You know, I think like right now it's you know, a difference of 1,000 points in favor of the me if you're just looking at just pure points. However, you know, we might get to a point where it's 5,000 points here in a month or two. You know, it might get pretty insane. So I'm kind of just asking as like, here's a perfect example, you know, from my perspective. And again, I'm probably not going to invest in any of them. I'm probably just going to, because it's not a ranked track or anything. I'm probably just going to take my, you know, 27,000 points or whatever and just move on. But I'm kind of using it as like a barometer, like, you know, where are the Miis? This is a me check, right? Where are we? Do we need it to hit 5,000? Like, where's that line? Like, where does it make so much sense to invest in a bubble driver, or does it ever make sense? Like, what if the difference is 10,000? Is that when you'd invest in a bubble driver me suit?
I was just going to jump in really quick. So anyone that knows me in the Reddit server, I've had many discussions about it. I was very anti-me. I was like, these drivers are not efficient for coverage. They're terrible. And then last I saw the Santa Mii suit, I'm like, okay, you know, I've got 800 rubies here that are collecting dust. So this tour I purchased like 420 rubies of Miis from the shop with like 6 of the suits that I didn't have. And, you know, my question block Mii suit, that's my only invested one, has gone up to like 1,300 points, which is insane. I think it's almost 1,400 now, which is insane for my cover, you know, account. I think it's really relative to your level. So, you know, for upper echelon play, like a whale like yourself, you know, you're buying the premium challenges, you're getting these tickets. Well, you know, taking a me up, well, it's super good. I mean, you get so many more points, you get the me boost, which is huge. You know, other factors as well, really good. For other players, I'm sure we'll touch on it later, but if you're in free to play, maybe not. There's still some really good Miis though. Like the question block Mii suit is just a good driver. It's not even like just a good me. It's just a good driver just to invest in and enjoy, and you get those points on top. And Gold Pass players, we've got, I mean, Jezza as well has purchased a lot of Mii suits. And recently, and you know, myself as well, you know, we've gotten a lot of rubies. And what was mentioned before about, you know, enjoying characters, you know, that's definitely valid. I know a lot of people that, you know, want to use their favorite characters. You know, we've got a lot of me investors, like also character enjoys, you know, like, you know, Crazy. He loves his King Boo. He's got level 8 King Boo. Yep. You know, Robert from the Reddit server has, you know, a level 8 Dixicon, you know, like things like that. And it's really nice to see the love some people have some characters, and it's understandable then that they wouldn't want to invest in a me suit. But if you want to remain competitive in the game, I mean, you know, why not? Even if you're just taking up the gold me or the question block, you know, taking it to a certain base cap, which I'm sure we'll talk about, you know, even then, even if it's a couple of points more, it's still, you know, a couple of points more on a really good driver. So I think it just depends on the situation, but cheap level, it would be very interesting for sure.
Yeah, it's the same for carts. Like a lot of people in the Reddit server invest in like different carts, like how MiFlame mentioned, the person who invested in the green double decker. And I've taken 2 carts to level 8. I've taken 3 carts to level 8. I took the original B Dasher Mark II to level 8. I took the cream B Dasher Mark II to level 8, and I took the lightning streamliner to level 8. And I was sort of a fan of those carts in the Reddit server where it just became a meme. And like as a joke, we'd like put a war against like the cream dasher versus the green double decker. Just it's a meme.
Wow, nice.
I won.
I was going to say, just coming back to the topic around the Mii versus the normal driver, I had a similar choice to make this tour actually as well, which was between the question mark block Mii or Daisy tie dress. And
Tough
both
one.
were ranked. I needed some coverage, and actually, statistically, we can kind of actually answer the question of should you invest into a Mii or not. In my ticket time rankings, which it looks at all the courses it's going to give you, the game that you're going to get. Daisy tie dress was number 1 by quite a decent margin. Question block was number 3, number 4, something like that. So still a decent amount of scoring potential, which factors in those extra base points and everything. But still, Daisy tie dress won. So she's the one that I decided to go with. I really want to invest into question mark block Mii racing suit, and I probably will, but it had to be Daisy tie dress for me first because she gave me more courses. Now, for sure, if question mark block gave me the courses Daisy tie dress did, and even can keep the extra base points, I will take question mark block Mii racing suit, because for me it's still about that coverage piece when it comes to ranked, and when it comes to courses coming back and enjoying that. So I highly recommend looking at your rankings or anything like that stuff to figure out how many courses something's going to give to you, how often are you going to use it. And I know I'm talking to someone who knows that already.
Well,
so.
I mean, I know that I probably have one of the most unique accounts here on this. Like, for instance, I have tie dress already at level 8 triple uncapped, and I have the question mark block at level 8 quad capped. And so, like, White Tanooki Mario level 7 is only going to still give me the same amount of tracks as Cheep Cheep Mii suit. So for me, coverage is not an issue. It's for when I use something, it's like I want it to be like a unanimous, this is what I'm going to be using. So, and again, neither one are very appealing. So for me,
fair point on that, Stud. Like, if you brought this up 6 weeks ago, we probably laughed you off your own podcast, and now we're good on it, but we're taking it a little bit seriously. So in another 6 weeks, bubble fever takes, so maybe everyone wants to be in it. Like, you're definitely right to keep making it as a just that barometer test, see where everyone's at, because it is, the base points are just getting out of control. Like, it's crazy. It just is not going to stop. I don't think they will stop it. I think it's just going to keep going. I think they said there might be a cap, and I just don't, because it's a great way to continue to get people to spend rubies.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
No, I appreciate that. And again, who knows what the future is. I think this was actually a really genius thing for Nintendo to do, to keep us on our toes and to kind of keep some, spike things up a little bit. To your point about, Robert Love and Dixie and other people like having their alts that they love. I mean, who's to say that these Mii suits, everyone's talking about, I want diversity, and it's great to see like a Larry alt, but like, I don't know, this like having a Moo Moo Mii or having like a Cheep Cheep Mii or having like this what looks to be like a Merlion Mii, like, guys, there's no more character diversity like the Miis. Like, the Miis are just like the Goomba Mii, like reindeer Mii, like you name it, like they're giving us some type of diversity. Is that diversity enough? Like, is that real character diversity or not?
I mean, you've got the suit, which is diverse, but you've also got the character. You can make the Mii anything you want. I mean, my Mii's like Dr. Eggman from Sonic.
Yeah.
And he's wearing a reindeer suit, and he's like in a bunch of stuff, and that's really fun to use.
Mine's a Joker.
So it's definitely fun, and everyone's feel free to play the way you want, which is the great thing about the game. It's a sandbox game, as Kevin Garrett terms it. You can do anything in the game that you really want to. But if you want to focus on the Miis, it's all relative. As you said, StudFit, coverage isn't an issue for you. You can do anything in the game. Got an insane account. So a Cheep Cheep Mii to level 8 is why not? It covers me on a couple of tracks, helps me in ranked, helps me in ACR. Why not? But maybe if you're a new free to play Gold Pass player, really look at your account and go, okay, analyze it. Is this going to help me long term? Am I, or just investing it for the points, which is overlapping with a driver I already have invested, where I don't have many tickets to throw around. I don't have any rubies to spend. But it's definitely really interesting on account by account basis.
I think it doesn't replace drivers as sort of that hype kind of base, but it's with the kind of speculation that comes with Mii suits in particular as well. It's not to digress too much from the actual question. I think that adds value to the game as well and draws eyes in. So when you are having people looking at, oh, there's a reindeer Mii suit coming next tour, or in this particular one, there was, I think, I can't remember what it was, but there's obviously kind of pointing towards maybe a potential Singapore tour in the future, or whatever it might be. It does create conversation, and that conversation might bring more people in. So I guess from a business perspective, it does get people talking too. But I mean, I buy Mii suits because they look cool. So who am I to judge?
Fair enough.
I was just going to say, another hot take from me is that the meta, like these Miis having these extra base points, is very meta. But what I think is the meta is the meta in terms of plus skills because it's fun, not just because it's high scoring. And actually, you can't take that away. Like for me, boomerang has become less meta this year because we've had too many boomerangs. I don't want to invest. I didn't even buy Luigi. I'm a huge Luigi fan. I've got some Luigi Lego sitting here waiting to be built. Right. But I didn't even buy him because I'm just burnt out. I can't do boomerang anymore. So, you know, maybe fun for you is like you said, Shadow Legend. You know, maybe it's just investing in plus skills. I'm the same. Maybe for others, it's taking Cheep Cheep Mii to level 8 and being like, yes, I've got a meme driver, and that's fun, and that's the cool thing about this game.
Yeah, it's certainly, you know, interesting. When it comes to the Miis, I don't know. You can go either way with them. I just find that you can invest in a Mii suit if you really want that specific coverage. Otherwise, you know, maybe not. No, it's definitely an interesting thing. So take a look. You know, why not? We all pay the Mii tax every tour. I think most of us are now. So
yeah,
70 reviews gone. That's, you know, fine. Getting that, you know, base points and those coverage.
So no, it's a good point. I think for the majority of the newer players who happen to be watching, I would probably go with White Tanooki Mario in that example. But you know, I'm kind of picking, you know, just one kind of Mii check example. But there's one thing I want to talk about Mii's before we move on, and actually we're coming up close on wrapping up our 2 hours. Can't believe it. Is about the topic that came up about breakpoints this week. So MiFlame, you mentioned Kevin Garrett. He put together a video just kind of clarifying that not all these Mii base points are translating to the points that are used in the action points boost. And so I recommend checking out that video. Really what it describes is that Nintendo actually does us a favor. It actually rounds up. So, you know, these Mii points, when you take this and divide it by this, there's no fractions. It's all solid points. So in these break points, they actually round up. I just saved you about 20 minutes of watching that video, but that's what's happening. I see it as a positive. I see it as like, hey, it's cool that they're rounding up and not rounding down. But there are, you know, let's say if you have something at level 8, there are like 4 Mii suit purchases that, or maybe it's 3, doesn't really matter, but like where they're not actually increasing your points. It's not until you get to that 4th one does it till it actually gives you an additional point for you to be able to be multiplied. And again, you know, if you're working with level 3, level 4, kind of to our example earlier, you know, for I think for Oscar, you might have mentioned, you know, it's going to be like that 7th or 8th one before it finally translates to 1 full point. But I'm just curious because it's kind of a hot topic right now. Does this make any impact on how you purchase Mii? Does this kind of like, I don't know, put some take some wind out of your sails, or did you see this as like a positive? Hey, at least they're rounding up. So like, I know that maybe I'm not getting a point translated to my score, but like I know if I get to here, it's, you know, they're going to give me that extra point.
I'll quickly explain as well. So so just summarize, it's a fantastic video. So if you haven't seen it, take a look. It really changes your view on Mii's, especially if you're free to play Gold Pass. So essentially, if you have a level 6 Mii suit, it takes 4 Mii suits for it to increase by 1 base point boost per action. So if you buy 1 Mii suit and it gets to 64.25 as the example, it's going to round up to 65, which is really, really good. If you buy another one, let's say it increases to 64.5, we're still going to round to 65. So your purchase has only increased your score by 60 points. So it takes those 4 Mii suits. But the more you buy, the more you level up the suit, the less it takes to increase that base point cap. This is really, really interesting. So the way I look at it is there's two strategies to the Miis now. So if you're a free-to-play Gold Pass player, the way I'm looking at this is if you want a couple of extra points for your question block Mii suit, you could go, okay, I want to target the 1,110 base cap. You get to that cap, and regardless, even if you like, okay, I've got to save my rubies, buy some other items, that Mii suit is probably still the best option on all of its tracks. And you're not wasting rubies on additional suits that aren't increasing your points. The second approach is all or nothing now. I know a couple of players that have just been purchasing the plus skill Miis because they want plus skill coverage, but that doesn't really make sense because they're not really getting many Miis. And they're not actually taking advantage of those base points, especially if you're not taking it above level 6. So, you either buy all the Miis, you want to, get the Miis, get the insane, break points that they have, or you're okay, the Miis aren't for me. There's no point buying only, 2 Miis. It won't actually increase your points that much. I know for me, I'm just going to, buy the Miis now whenever I can, but I'm not going to stress, oh, I've lost ranked, I can't get that Mii suit. It's not the end of the world. It's only going to be, a couple of points. But I'd be interested to see everyone else's perspective on that, since I'm sure that's a little bit different.
So
yeah, for me, it's all or nothing really, because I've got 2 accounts. One is basically an X-Whale account that's now Gold Pass Plus, and then one's a completely free-to-play account that used to be a Gold Pass account. And the first account is a day 1 account. This the free-to-play one is about 2 years old now. And so I'm doing 2 completely different strategies. So I'm doing the all on my main account, and then I'm doing basically the nothing. Ironically, I do have question mark block me racing suit at level 6 and quad caps on that account. So it's great. It's like exactly what you're saying, and really well articulated, man. You've nailed that. I'm taking, what base points I've got and going with it, not purchasing any more Miis, not spending any more rubies on that account, whereas the other account, I'm leveling everything up. So that's for me, all or nothing, and I'm doing both depending on the account.
So let me ask you this: does this information change any behaviors with either account, or does it make a difference, at least in the one that you're investing in Miis?
Yeah, I think the only thing is I need to check what base points. I need to check that chart and check the exact base points I need to level up. So is it worth it? Do I need 3 more, or am I good where I'm at right now and just stop purchasing them for now? And then maybe in the future, okay, if I purchase another 4, now I'm going to hit a new break point. Now I'm going to save up those rubies and then do it all in one go. So less of those kind of impulse purchases of maybe I'll pick up a Mii. More strategic, I guess, with looking at what base points I need to get to.
I will just comment on that right now. If you're thinking about the Mii strategy, this tour, go for it, because we don't know when these discounted Mii suits are ever going to come back, because these are very old Mii suits. I was the exact same as you, Matt. My account, I only had the question block Mii suit invested at, that was it. And I just had the Miis from ranked. And that thing was a beast. It's still, it's a beast. It helped me last week so much. And now that I'm purchasing the Miis, I missed out on all these old ones that I never bought when they were new. And you're not going to get access to these old Mii suits at 70 rubies for maybe, we don't know, could be a year, could be 2 years. They've never been discounted before, never appeared for this price. And if you wait for that, you may be spending an extra 300 rubies for the same amount of suits. So definitely use this tour, if you're really thinking about it. I mean, go for it if you want to do it. This is the time to go for it. The Mii strategy, I think.
Yeah, this is the bandwagon starter pack is what we're calling it.
Just quickly, so Mii suits, as someone who's like never gone for ACR before, like from what I've seen people do, I've seen that Mii suits are quite good for ACR. Like I plan to go for ACR one day, preferably when like one of my favorite drivers, like it's like me, it's like when one of my favorite drivers, Meowser Jr., gets his own special tour where he's like the featured spotlight and he has his own ACR badge. I plan to go for ACR then. So like, would it be recommended to like invest in Mii suits for that tour, or just focus on investing in like the mainstream actual drivers and not Miis.
Yeah, it's funny. So when the tour first came out, I uploaded everything into like the into Antelev's Bam and Gerb's tracker, and I was like, I think Raker was like, hey, how out for using this suit or that suit, and I was like, it looks like I'm only using the gold suit like twice, and he's like, actually, you're using it 7 times or 8 times. I was like, and I was like, I'm looking at my sheet, like, what? It looks like just twice. He's like, oh yeah, Antelev mentioned that that the Mii suits part wasn't working, and it's boosted on like 6 tracks here and like 4 tracks there, and just like, wow, okay, yeah. So these Mii suits, like, it's for all cup ranking, because of all the Mii boosts and the cup boosts and everything, like they're even stronger than you think. So yeah, I agree with 100% with the all cup ranking.
Yeah, well, I'm up to 18 of 45 tracks this tour. Well, there is a lot of overlap, but 18 courses I'm using a Mii of 45. So it's getting pretty substantial, for sure, and that's a massive trend for sure.
I've been saving tickets since June for Meowser Junior, like Jezza is. So I really want to see a Bowser Junior, a Kangaroo Yoshi rerun, or a cool Shy Guy or something. And so I'm at like, I spent 2 tickets on Shy Guy Pink Ninja level 4 and a couple on the Moo Moo Off-Roader. And at the moment, I think I'm sitting at 75 driver tickets, like 60 something kart, and 50 something glider high-end tickets. And I've been analyzing, okay, when I go for ACR, I'm just going to put all of it in, go full throttle. What happens, happens, maybe top 25. I don't know when the character will happen. But I've only realized the last couple of tours, oh, wait, the Miis actually show up a lot for ACR, and it's per tour relative. So the way I'm looking at it is I'm really, I'm valuing kart and glider tickets a lot, because they're very specific per tour, because we're not seeing repeat retros anymore. So it's for those tours, but also I've just realized, I could chuck couple of tickets on a Mii suit and it would be insane for ACR. And it's only got those couple of tracks. So, I think ACR as well, investing in Miis is really big, but tour by tour basis, if you're thinking about going for one specific ACR, save for that tour, because you don't know, I wanted to go for it during the Kitsune Luigi tour, but I couldn't do it because I took King Mario to level 6 to get gold PD. So, and King Mario didn't show up. So you just don't know.
Awesome, guys. Well, we just hit 7 o'clock my time, so I know we jumped on here and then started a couple minutes late. But so we now have to start wrapping things up. But you know what? We deviated so many different times and had so many great little conversations. We didn't get a lot to the planned question, so I thought I'd just do like a rapid fire. One person answers the one question, and then we move to the next and see if we can get through 5 of these questions, because these are questions that were well thought out by our members. And so for being able to honor my members, I want to make sure that we got to some of these questions. So I'll ask the question, anyone can answer, and then I'm going to the next question. So kind of rapid fire. So Hero asks, was this the worst New Year's tour ever? For him, obviously 6 new RTs and the repeated RTs. Who thinks this is the New Year's tour was the worst New Year's tour ever, and why? And do it quickly.
Yeah, I'll go then. I think it's the worst New Year's tour. I didn't play the 2021, so I don't know about that one. But yeah, this is just, there wasn't really much to do. Trick tour is fun, but not New Year's worthy. Not like the final tour of the year worthy.
All right, that question was from Hero. Shy Guy Card asked, it's been almost a year since our last level high-end Lucky 7 driver charging Chuck, not including the Miis. The Lucky 7 skill managed to survive the skill apocalypse. Why do you think that is? Why aren't more characters getting Lucky 7 skill?
Yeah, I wondered at the time if there was like a balancing of the skills. Of course, there was the balancing of the skills, and I wondered if Lucky 7 had to go away because it was too powerful, something to do with the Miis, some kind of thing. But I don't really know that there is a reason now. So I would be very surprised if we didn't have a Lucky 7 driver next tour. And of course, we've got it with the Santa Mii. So there you go. We've got, Lucky 7 Miis. It's almost like they've kind of kept that one exclusive to the Miis, to maybe, again, to balance things. You can bring more Lucky 7 in for the Miis, keep the coin box for the normal drivers, and give them a small hit box, They're playing, they're playing chess while the rest of us are playing checkers, Nintendo.
I like it. This question's from Crazy. We recently been shown a teaser for the upcoming tour, which we didn't get to talk about the space tour at all. How crazy was that? But that's how good our conversation was. With the fan favorite Wii Rainbow Road. But it begs the question, why wasn't this newly revealed tour in our New Year's tour instead? Was there some type of intern for mistake or caused by a delay? And I think, I guess, just curious from you guys, how big is this Rainbow Road track, and what's your thoughts on this upcoming tour?
I'll comment on this really. Okay.
I'll take 2 or 3 answers. If you guys can, if
Okay.
you need to get through quickly, give us your feedback, because this is a big topic. I wish I could have gotten more to it.
Okay, I guess I'll start. This is fantastic. Everyone loves Wii Rainbow Road. I mean, I grew up with the Wii, Mario Kart Wii. My first was SNES, but that was the first one I got into. That is the iconic track. And we thought it could be a thing because of the last track that was data mined for Mario Kart 8 was a Wii track, and we had 3DS Rainbow Road as the final of this set. But okay, maybe it's Wii, but actually getting it was insane. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, Wii Rainbow Road? Like, that's incredible. And Space Toad and Toadette, I know someone in the community, from the Reddit community, she loves Space Toad. She even asked for Space Toad for about 2 years. She saw Space Toad. She got some, she starts like dancing gifts and everything. She was so happy. So like, next tour is really, really exciting. And 3DS Rainbow Road is even there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's really good.
You summed it up perfectly, by the way. Just I wanted to let you know that.
Thank you.
But I think I spent like the last 3 hours, seriously, I'm not kidding, right where I'm sitting, analyzing every small little change, which I'll have a video up hopefully in the next 24 hours. But I digress about the different changes on to coming to the track. And yeah, it looks incredible. Like we were talking about before about the upgraded, how's it going to go when the phone graphics keep getting better? It's going to obviously need more upgrades, etc. They're pushing it here. This track looks incredible. So keep doing what you're doing, Nintendo, because it is 1, looking good, and 2, creating a lot of hype, and 3, I can't stop talking about it. So next up.
Yep. Big thumbs up.
Awesome. And the last question is Funky Kong's Dong asks, Aussies, how hard is it playing the game with your phone upside down?
Very tough.
We just play it with our feet.
Yeah.
Don't you
I
know
like
that
it,
stuff?
guys.
If you think about it, you're upside down to us. So how do you play the game upside down?
Actually, Antarctica's at the top of the world. Look it up.
Yeah.
And the Earth is flat.
And there you
I
go.
think we've just
Okay.
debunked another Australian myth. So I'm glad we got here in the end.
There we go. Hey, we squeezed it in there. We're kind of going full circle. Well, good guys. Again, we've wrapped up 2 hours together. How crazy is that? So last year we talked about what's one piece of advice you give to a newer player. We are kind of retiring that. Got some data. Excited to share that with you guys. But thought we'd end just real quickly as each person says goodbye to their new fans. And gets everyone plugging in their channel or whatever it might be. But then also let us know one little change that you might make in 2023 for your account, whether it's kind of prioritizing saving tickets or a new way to play. And we had some fun responses last tour, and excited to hear how Frenzy Fans Girl is going to be taking ACR a little bit more seriously. So we'll go in reverse order of how we introduced everybody. So we'll start with you, MiFlame. What's one new thing you'll be kind of prioritizing or focusing in on 2023?
So I said
Say goodbye to
before
your
about
fans.
Yes. Yeah. One thing for me is obviously saving for that ACR, but also, as I said, the Mii strategy now I'm definitely going to take going forward. I've ignored the Miis for 2022, but 2023, I'm going to keep up with the Miis. You know, I'm at that point with tickets where if I have to drop 4 tickets to get a Mii suit, I mean, that's worth it to save 70 rubies. So I think definitely go in that approach and really enjoy the content that they've been, you know, pumping out with everyone and seeing everyone all happy and stuff and really analyzing the game. I want to keep that up, and you know, it's been really good.
Awesome, great answer. Jezza, what would be one thing that you want to implement or prioritize this year?
For me, last year I just focused on investing in stuff that I found funny or I liked. But for this year, personally, I think that I want to be focusing more on investing in ranked, because I'm like 10 tiers away from gold Mii suit, and I want to get that quickly so I can just kind of chillax. So I'm focusing on ranked is really my New Year's resolution, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Awesome. Shadow Legend, what would be one new implementation or prioritization of this upcoming year now that we're in 2023?
Yeah, so I think I'm probably the opposite of Jezza here. I think I focused too much last year on ranked, and I'm at tier 93. So I think once I get to 99, so like what, 6 weeks away, I think my focus for this year is going to be just ACR and just maybe one day, have to push for a top 10 run. So hopefully.
Yep. I like it. Aussie Kart.
I think I've already started probably December that way and just being a little bit more frugal with my tickets. So I actually have double-digit tickets across driver, kart, glider in level ups and caps, which just never happens because I just love to spend, as I always do. So that would probably be it. But seriously, if you're not getting a down under spin-off series going here, something's going wrong. How good's the chat flowing? The listeners are going to be loving it. You're going to have to subtitle it. They probably have no idea what we're saying. I think it'd be fantastic. So I'm back. It's been a great episode. Just fantastic. So obviously great to meet a lot of new faces. And yeah, I'm sure we'll be doing this again.
Yeah, I agree. This was a great episode. It was a lot of fun with everybody. And it's good to learn some terms, especially what I, can name a thong or my shoe.
Maybe we can film the next episode down here. Maybe get your behind down here, and we'll take you out on the town. Start.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
Get him to do a shoey.
Spread out because it sounds like yeah. Swiftjar, what would you say? What's something that you want to implement and or prioritize in 2023?
I think one thing that I want to implement is actually using the trackers. They're clearly a good source of material for every single person using it. I'm not using it. So I think if I want to actually start improving on my game, which I do want to do, is start using that, find out what's the best resources moving forward that are going to give my account the best outlook in the long future. So I think that's what I want to do. And yeah, also thanks for having me on. And it's great to meet everyone here and all the commenters down below as well. Nice to meet you all. So you can find me anywhere at Swiftjar, but this is your show, not mine.
No. Definitely the link is in the description to Swiftjar's channel. Definitely check him out. He's got some cool stuff going on there. Again, completely different from what I'm providing. So nice little change of pace and a really cool channel there. I think one thing I learned from doing the awards ceremony, which again, I've been doing the channel for over 2 years now. So it's hard for me to learn new things, but I had no idea. I literally learned about like 3 or 4 new trackers that I didn't even know existed. So there are so many. Definitely check out that award ceremony. But there are inventory trackers. There's ticket time, ticket optimizer, all kinds of coverage optimizer as well. Charter's got some cool stuff from Reddit I didn't even know existed either. So I think it was sponge pants or something like that has one, or spinach pants or something. Either way, learning a lot even at this age in the game. So excited about that. And then Matt Aldridge, what's new one new prioritization or implementation for 2023?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Stud. I appreciate you getting up at 5 a.m. for us. I did the calculation with the time zone, so I saw a couple yawns in there, and I was holding back mine. I won't be getting up at 5 a.m. tomorrow myself. So thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I think for me in this next year, my priority will be just limiting things, whether that be time, whether that be resources, save some rubies maybe, hold back on the tickets like what Aussie Kart said. And I think just be a little bit more frugal and be a little bit more efficient will be the focus. And spend a little bit less time and money, I think is a good way to do it. But for me, I've really refocused this year already, or last year already, on playing what is fun. So I recommend everybody focus on what's fun to them. Look inside yourself, and if grinding that track for 2 hours isn't fun, don't do it. Do something else. It's a game. It's there for fun. So that's for me. And again, thanks for having me on. You can find my channel. It's just my name, Matt Aldridge. I didn't plan on making Mario Kart Tour videos, but here we are. So I didn't call it something really cool. But yeah, I make some content. I react. I analyze. I look at some data stuff as well. So really great to meet all you guys. And I'm sure when I head over to Australia at some point, I'll have to, depending which territory I go to, we'll have to grab a beer with you lads. So
Foster's, of course. Yes. Appreciate, honestly, this was a really fun episode. I thought you guys all brought a lot of great value, and it was all just cool to see, just hear your accents throughout the whole episode as well. But yeah, definitely check out Matt Aldridge's channel. We've plugged him a lot, but it's still not enough. We're still, I think he's pretty close, coming up on
40
1,000
subs.
What's
40
that?
subs. 40 subs.
40
away from,
subs, please.
900.
40 of you, just 40. If you're not subscribed to Matt Aldridge, which you might be a part of, you would definitely be a part of that 40. Go out, it'll follow the link in the description and check out his channel, as well as also Swiftjar's too. But absolute pleasure having you guys today. This was a lot of fun, and honestly, my day is only going to go down from here because it's at the beginning, as you guys are basically hitting the fireworks as you're going to bed. I appreciate you guys staying up late and being able to hang with us. This was an absolute blast.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No worries. Thanks for having us.
It was-
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Well, until next time, may the frenzy luck be with you. We'll see you later.
See ya.
See you.
See ya.
Yeah.
What's the opposite of good day? Is it bye? Bye.